What's up, Lito?
Hey.
My story is basically how I got over my fear of heights, even though they still kind of shake me up a little bit. Um, I used to really not like heights as a kid, and I still kind of don't like them. But when I was a kid, I used to be terrified of them, and I wasn't terrified of a lot of things. My birthday was on Halloween, so I was never scared of like ghosts or monsters or anything like that. I get in little fights with other kids often, so I wasn't really afraid of other people at all. Um, so it was mainly just heights. That was the only thing. But it all kind of faded away when I went to a big water park. I think it was up north with my next door neighbors, and I brought my little brother. I think I was like 10 or 11. And he's 6 years younger, so he should have been like 4 or 5. And it was like a 30-foot wooden stand. And this wooden stand was very poorly executed in its creation, I would say. Like the kids were climbing up it, and it would shake and rattle, and you'd be going up it and trying to like little pieces of the wood. It was all wood, and all the ladder pieces were like giving you splinters and crackling. And we'd get to the top, and just the wind was making it shake a little bit, and I was like terrified just to jump off of it. We went all the way to the top. All the kids were like, just keep going, keep going. So we get to the top, and I was like just stuck. I couldn't jump off the top of that. I was really afraid looking down. And the only thing that got me off of that stand, or I guess you'd call it a diving board, whatever it would be, was that I saw my little brother fall inside of the water. So that right there was just enough. He fell inside the water, and no one was really paying attention. And I was like, I gotta get in there and and help my little brother. So I jumped right off of that board. I didn't even think twice about it. It was just like an instinct. I jumped right off of that, basically belly flopped onto the water, and it really hurt. Like it stung like my entire my entire body, but I didn't care. I went over there and swam over there and grabbed my little brother, and he was a little chunker at the time, and I was kind of weak at the time. So I put him on my back, and I was swimming, and I was kind of drowning myself, like, like trying to get him to the deck to put him up there. So um, yeah, that was basically how I got over my fear of heights. Like I said, they still kind of rattle me sometimes when I go up really, really, really high. But I mean, it's all in my head, and I know that. And I know that now after I jumped off of that deck to grab him. So yeah, that was my story.
What a great story. Thank you, Lito.
Since I was also going to do a fear of heights story, which Lito kind of stole my thunder on that one, so we'll see how this goes. So I'd say I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9, like most kids, afraid of heights and stuff like that. And my dad had the shed in the backyard, and so he needed some things to get down from there. And I was like, well, how am I going to get down? He said, there's a ladder up there. And so he hoisted me up, on his hands. So he's standing, he's got his hands all the way up. I'm standing on the edge of his hands, like like we're doing some type of cheerleading deal. I barely muster the strength to climb up there. I toss down whatever he needs. I start looking around. I'm like, where's the ladder? He's like, there's no ladder. I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, I'm not coming down. I was like, you can grab a ladder. And he's like, we don't have a ladder. He's like, you're just going to have to trust me, and I'm going to catch you. It's like, you're going to jump and I'm going to catch you. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, I'm not having that. Like, I almost started breaking down into tears. And he's like, look at me. He's like, have I ever broken your trust? And I was like, no. He's like, okay, so just jump and I'll catch you. I was like, whatever, man. I guess here we go. So I literally I didn't fall off, to try to lessen the speed. I actually jumped, so it made it a little bit faster. And sure enough, he caught me. But on the way down, that feeling of free fall, I ended up getting hooked on. So it's not the fear of heights that I have. It's fear of hitting the ground now, because, I like jumping off. So I spent, after him catching me and going through that, I ended up liking that feeling of free fall quite a bit. So I'd climb up on the roof at my mom's house and jump into the pool. And I was jumping off the roof of houses onto the ground and stuff, getting used to it. So it's the interesting solution to a fear of heights for sure.
Jason, you created a monster, it sounds like.
Yeah, sounds like.
Yeah, I do not like heights. Still don't like heights, but I'm not going to talk about that. But Yeah, so my story is once I was younger and we lived in the country, so I would always take my four-wheeler out in the woods and make new trails. And well, one day I had my metal rake with me and I was going through the woods raking all out new trails. And I get back on my quad, I ride up the hill, and all of a sudden something just like hits me right in the ribs, like hard. Well, and we had a crappy neighbor, so my first thought was the neighbor was trying to kill me. He was hiding behind this tree I just rode past. So I get back on the quad and I'm like freaking out because I think I had no idea what hit me. And so I rode up to my house and like as I'm riding up there, like my vision is starting to like get smaller and smaller. And I get in the house and I'm like trying to tell my dad what was happening. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, then you just dropped down, passed right out on the floor. He's like, you walked in the house and I whoa, whoa, fell over. Well, so when I woke up, I was like still scared that I thought someone was trying to kill me. And so he took me down in the woods and all it was I had on the back of my quad these little forks that it's like a gun rack, I guess. And I had my rake in the gun rack, and it was a fiberglass rake. But when I drove past that giant tree, the claw of the metal rake got caught on a small one, and it like flexed that rake, and one of those gun racks fell, and that rake just whipped me right into the side of the ribs. And then, so I guess the moral of the story is that sometimes don't always believe yourself when you get like freaked out, or you got to know all the stuff before you claim what you think's going on. But yeah, that was a crazy story because I was out there all by myself, so it was pretty scary. But then in the end, now we just laugh about it because all it was a stupid rake.
Hills have eyes.
This one involves somebody else. It's a little bit different. Mine's more about like how you make a real impression on somebody. I mean, you've got like grand acts of kindness that overwhelm people sometimes, but those don't really let people know that they're truly appreciated. Um, Honestly, in life, it really comes down to like the small things, the small actions that you do. Those are the things that typically make the biggest impacts on other people's lives. And my story is more about that. I Last time I was in Michigan, I watched Eric Rose. I'm glad he's not here because then he doesn't know how it got out. There was a homeless guy on the stairs, and he went in and got him a cup of coffee, a couple of snacks, and it just quietly delivered him to the guy. And I think those kind of acts where you do something that you're not looking for thanks, you're not looking for recognition, you're not it makes you feel the best that you can feel, and it really dials up that guy felt seen, he felt important. And you can always find one of those acts um, in your life by just simply acknowledging somebody's presence. Hey, how you doing over there? And you can really benefit their life and take them out of a negative space where they might be at that moment. And I as me and Eric went by, the guy was so excited to see Eric again. And I'm like, why is he so excited to see you? He's like, oh, I did this, this, and this. I'm like, that's amazing, dude. I saw that impact just by three simple things: a snack and a cup of coffee. It was amazing.
That was a great story. Acts of kindness are always great and appreciated. Thank you for sharing, Dan. Anyone?
It's the small things for sure, and I feel like it can just be general conversation, or not really acts of kindness always, but it can always be showing people that you appreciate them as far as what they're willing to do to help you as a team, right? So like my New Vision team is always willing to go above and beyond to help out for anything on the project, and it's ridiculous considering their circumstances and what we're asking of them. So just stuff like that, and treating them like they're human beings and talking to them all the time and trying to be their friends and understand them, I feel like goes a long way, not just work wise, but personally. And those small things are built up over long periods of time. So
Yeah, and your relationship with the New Vision team is a great one. They really value that. They always mention it, that they really value your friendship and leadership.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I think
exactly. Oh, sorry.
I
Go
think
ahead.
the group overall is that way. I see it in between you guys all the time. Especially with people like Chad and Travis and Lito. It's like if I ask them to do something, they're like, sure, like Lito's always like, sure, Unc, whatever you need me to do. Like, I'm like, wish you just tell me to screw off that you're not going to do it sometimes, but just things like that, or calling Chad, hey, I need your hand for a second. He's always, never been like, oh, man, come on. Like, it's always been, people like Travis that just offer, help. Cause a lot of times I won't ask for help. I'll just do it. And Chad knows that. And so does Jude, my younger one there. He was yelling at me. I was dragging a washer up the stairs and he's like, if you don't stop, I'm going to call Chad, right? Or he's like, I'm going to call Chad if you don't. He's like, I'm calling Chad. That's it. So it's like, it's like that with the, for the whole group of, especially with doing the electrical work over the last couple of weekends, people showing up on their own accord, they're like, it's a volunteer thing. We're trying to help a pantry out. And, we're not advertising it at all. We're not on, LinkedIn or, we don't have a sign out front. It's just quietly in the background. We're helping people out. Something to be proud of. I am going to, display it and let people know that you guys are helping people out. It's important that we put that out there. Like me, myself, I would never say a word ever. Like I would just, the lady from the church, like, oh, we're going to put your picture in the, I'm like, no, I'm fine without any of that. Like, but it's nice to know that SJS are those type of people. People need to know that. So just good job across the board. Like I all of you are like that. None of you have ever been a hard no, or I'll think about it when I ask you to do something for me. All of you guys, especially, somebody like Kyle that's been with me forever. We've been through a lot together. He's still, I call him and ask him like, hey, I really need you to pay attention to this. He does it. And, people like, Kaylin, she's, I hate asking people, but it's like every time I do, it's like it gets done and it's getting done with a good attitude and a smile on their face. And, it's just the list goes on and on. You got Tammy, I call her like, hey, I need you to get this together, and it's done. Like, all you guys are just great people, so I'm proud of you.
So, team.
We're proud of you, Jason.
Yeah, Uncle CEO.
I'm
We all
getting
wouldn't
there.
be here without Jason.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there to the CEO. I said that the other day. I'd introduced myself as a CEO, and I almost cringed. So I don't feel I'm there yet, but I feel like I'm getting there.
You're doing a great
No
job.
teams, you'll be there.